Welcome to AI for Everyone, the podcast that demystifies artificial intelligence and makes it useful for teachers, students, employees and employers, small business owners, and lifelong learners. I'm your host, Brett Hansen, a 25-year veteran teacher with over 2 years of experience exploring, implementing, and teaching AI to people of all ages. As a Google and ISTE educator, I'm here to help you navigate this quickly changing world with confidence, curiosity, and a focus on ethical, practical use. Each week, we'll start with a real-world story, introduce a freer, low-cost AI tool, teach a future-ready skill, and finish with either timely AI news, an interview, or a short history spotlight. Whether you're new to AI or ready to level up, you're in the right place. Let's get started. In episode 3, we're going to explore Google and its powerful role in shaping the future of artificial intelligence. From its research lab, DeepMind, to its cutting-edge AI model, Gemini, Google is not just building smarter tools. It's really building a foundation of what many people think might become the first AI-native operating system. We'll talk about that more in just a minute. We're going to look at how Gemini changes the way people work in Google Workspace, and we're going to unpack how Google's AI strategy is quietly reshaping the future of personal and professional productivity. Now, I can't help but talk about many of these things in my daily life, and so on a somewhat regular basis, I end up telling my students about Move 37, and they look at me in a strange way. At first, they usually assume I'm talking about a chess match because I'm the chess coach and mentor at my school, but this wasn't a chess move. It was a move in a game called Go, which originated in China over 2,500 years ago. Many people believe that Go is the most complicated game ever created by humans. It's deceptively simple in its rules, but infinitely more complex than, say, chess in terms of strategy and possible outcomes. For example, in chess, according to experts, there are about 10 to the 120th power possible game variations, and that's a lot. I love the game chess. I love the complexity of the different pieces and the patterns and the way it makes you focus. But in Go, it's estimated that there are over 10 to the 170th power possible combinations. And once again, according to the experts who can do math a lot better than me, that's more than the number of atoms in the entire universe. So this vast decision space, as it's referred to, or field of opportunities or possibilities, is what made Go the, I guess we'd say, Mount Everest of artificial intelligence challenges in 2015, 2016. And back then, most researchers still believed it would take decades before an AI could beat a top human player. And this is a theme that I've heard over and over again over the last 10, 15, 20 years. Oh, it's going to be 10 years, it's going to be 15 years, whether we're talking about climate change or AI. And it used to be that things took that long. And now they're happening much, much faster than people expected. So that estimate of decades all changed in March of 2016. Now, one of the leaders in the AI movement or field is a very kind-looking, somewhat soft-spoken guy named Demis Hassabis. And he was a neuroscientist who started playing chess when he was young and loved games, and then went on to a very prestigious academic career. But he turned into an AI researcher as he got older. And he developed a company called DeepMind. Now, Google bought DeepMind. At the same time, Facebook was trying to buy DeepMind as well. And actually, DeepMind offered Demis and his team more money. I think it was a considerably large amount of extra money. But they did not want to work for Facebook because, one, they weren't sure about the safety issues, and I think also they saw the expansive potential of Google because of how far-reaching, how broad, and how deep their goals were long-term. So Google acquired DeepMind, and right away they developed a program called AlphaGo. And it is a deep learning system that's trained on thousands of human Go games. And then when it was done with those games, with all of them that they could find, it started training in a way that's called reinforcement learning, where it basically played against itself millions of times. And this is one of the scary parts of AI, or the mysterious parts. They don't always know why it does what it does. And so it played against itself so many times, they didn't realize that it was actually developing new ideas. So when they brought AlphaGo to face Lee Sedol, the South Korean world champion, he was the world champion, of course, but he was from South Korea. And he's considered to be, he was definitely the greatest Go player then. I think he still is. And he was possibly one of the greatest Go champions or players ever. And they decided to play a 5-game match, and it was watched around the world by millions and millions of people. Now, AlphaGo had already beat the European champion 5-0, but most people thought that Lee Sedol was a different level of champion. And he said beforehand that he thought it was possible that AlphaGo might win a game if he wasn't focused, if he got off his best strategies. So they started the games, and AlphaGo shocked the world by beating him in the first game. Lee Sedol was clearly rattled and embarrassed. He said that he was disappointed in himself, and that he would rally and come back the next day after talking through the game and the moves with his team. And then in game 2, AlphaGo did something shocking. It made what everybody thought was a mistake, and it was on the 37th move. On the 37th move, it did something that all the experts and the computer programs that were analyzing it thought was basically the equivalent of a blunder. It placed a stone in a location that no human would ever consider. I mean, no high-level player. It was so unconventional that a top commentator assumed it was a programming error and stepped out of the room. That they thought that the AlphaGo program had a glitch in the program. But move 37 wasn't a mistake. It wound up being what's called a genius move. 15 moves later, the strategy became clear to everyone. And if you watch the DeepMind AlphaGo documentary, you can see it on Lee Sedol's face. AlphaGo had taken control of the board, turning what looked like randomness into dominance. And then afterward, even Lee Sedol paused and said that it was, quote, a beautiful move. That single move, move 37, became symbolic of a new era, one where AI doesn't just copy human logic, but generates entirely new paths and new possibilities. And as Demis Hassabis put it, quote, it was the first time I saw an AI do something creative, something that actually surprised us. Now, if you're paying attention to the news about AI, you know that AI is doing a lot more things that surprise people, some good, some bad. And this is a very important thing for us to keep an eye on. But this shows how powerful AI is, and that it's not just regenerating what humans have already done. So in this episode, we're going to look at how Google took that spirit of creative intelligence and built it into something far more powerful. Gemini is far more powerful than AlphaGo. Gemini is a system designed not to just master games, but to assist, guide, and even collaborate with us across every tool we use, especially if you're a Google Workspace user. Whether you're a student, business owner, or everyday user, Google Gemini is changing our world. Now, DeepMind started with games. After Go, they tackled StarCraft, and then they went to protein folding, and so they had a program called AlphaFold. Now, the protein folding is a fascinating story that I don't really have time to talk about, but DeepMind basically figured out how to have AI solve the protein folding problems that were keeping researchers from solving different cancers, different diseases, and AlphaFold did what it took. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it took an entire team of humans, I think it was 1.5 years, to fold 12 or 14 proteins, and AlphaFold did hundreds in a day. And And so it was groundbreaking in regards to the healthcare industry and for scientists. Maybe we'll have an episode on that later, but then it moved into large language models. Now, in December 2023, Google announced Gemini 1. And in many ways, this was surprising because people thought they might be first. This is after ChatGPT released in 2022. But the truth is, many experts think that Google probably waited for legal reasons, to be cautious of the possible litigation. Clearly, anybody who pays attention sees the problems with intellectual property and AI. But Google released their Gemini 1 in 2023, and it was an omnimodal model capable of understanding text, images, audio, code, and video. And that pushed ChatGPT to add more of those elements to their chatbot, which they do now have. But Gemini clearly represents Google's clearest challenge to OpenAI and Microsoft. And unlike GPT-4, which then was primarily text-based with some vision tools added, Gemini was designed from the start to handle multiple modes at once. And it isn't just writing or drawing or talking. It's actually synthesizing all of these elements together. Gemini 1.5 was able to process 1 million tokens at once, which is about 750,000 words, which was amazing. It could ingest an entire textbook, a programming manual, a set of video instructions, and summarize or act on all of it. It integrated directly with Google tools like Gmail, Docs, Sheets, Slides, and Meet via the Gemini AI in its workspace, and it optimized to run across different devices, desktop, mobile, and embedded processors. So it really set Google up to create the closest thing yet to an AI-powered operating system. And that's where we find ourselves now with Google. Now, Google has 2.5, which is Gemini's 2.5, which is even better. Now, if you use Gmail, Google Docs, or Google Slides, you've probably seen that little sparkle icon in the corner. That's Gemini in Workspace. And it's more than a writing assistant or a grammar assistant. Here are just a few of the things that you can do with Gemini and these work tools. In Gmail, you can summarize long threads. You can use it to draft replies in your own voice, and then you can organize follow-ups. In Docs, you can generate outlines, revise tone and grammar, and even turn meeting notes into professional reports. In Sheets, you can create formulas from natural language queries like calculate weekly totals by product, which for me, these are extremely helpful because I love Sheets and data. But after a certain point, my brain just cannot see and process all that data in a CSV file or in Google Sheets or Excel. In Slides, you can auto-generate presentations from your documents or notes, complete with visuals. And I think they're going to get better and better at this, which makes me happy because last year my students used a different AI system, and it's called Gamma, and it was really flashy and fun, and they liked it, and we could spend more time practicing public speaking, but a lot of the images were problematic. They didn't have the same level of quality as DALL-E. Then in Meet, you can do real-time note-taking, action item tracking, and meeting summarization with just a couple of clicks. So you don't have to prompt like a pro if you're using Gemini. I still think it's important to learn that, and you'll probably still get better results. But basically with Gemini, all you have to do is describe what you want. You can just type something like turn this into a proposal, or list 3 risks, or draft a reply that's friendly but firm, or create 3 different replies for different types of business associates or parents. And then Gemini will handle the rest. Now, Google has hinted that they are going to be embedding workspace agents soon. Task-specific AI agents are AI tools that can act semi-autonomously on your calendar, in inbox, in shared files. Outside of this Google Workspace, there will be AI agents for marketing. There will be AI agents for business, for finance, all kinds of things. And this is the start of what some people are calling the AI-first productivity workspace. Now, AI first is a term that a lot of businesses are using, and they're talking about this in regards to business productivity, and this includes choosing AI over humans. I don't like the term AI first. I like the term or phrase AI forward. It might just be semantics, but I work in a field where there's a pretty good chance that people are really going to want to keep humans around because, kids don't want to be taught by computers. We learned that in the COVID situation. But there are a lot of other fields where AI first is perhaps a warning phrase. So just keep that in mind. So there's a quiet shift happening, without a doubt. We talked last time about ChatGPT and its growth. We'll talk next time about Microsoft and Copilot. I'm not very knowledgeable about what Apple is doing in regards to their chatbot, but they're rumored to be integrating ChatGPT into their iOS, but they've had a lot of problems with their AI lab. But Google clearly controls the world's most popular mobile OS, which is Android. They control the most used productivity suite or workspace, which is the Google Workspace, and they have the world's top search engine, which is probably going to transform into an AI search something, but they'll probably still be out front. So if you combine that together with Gemini and their new tensor chips that are faster, and you're looking at something more than a tool. You're looking at the pieces of a fully integrated AI operating system. And this isn't science fiction. It's just strategy. Gemini very well could become, if you choose to use it this way, your personal assistant in Gmail, your editor in Docs, your product manager in Sheets, your designer in Slides, your meeting analyst in Meet, and your browser copilot in Chrome. And if that all happens, then eventually it will be your interface across Android, Chrome OS, and even your hardware. And these shifts happen subtly and quickly. So it's like the edges are softened, and the next thing you know, it's so easy and so effective that we're all using it. But we definitely want to make a choice. I like Google. I like Gemini. And as a teacher using the Google Workspace, for Education Workspace, as our LMS, it makes sense. So the question remains, will Google go all in? It seems that they're closer than anyone else. They're certainly closer than OpenAI, far closer than Meta or Apple. And, we'll see. So if you're a teacher, administrator, or student wondering how all this affects your Google Workspace for education, you don't really need to worry about it. That's going to get an episode all on its own, and that'll probably happen in a few weeks or in maybe a week and a half or so. And I'll break down which tools are available, what's coming, and how to prepare. And there's a lot of really cool stuff happening, and we have a lot of examples from specific districts. So from Go to Gmail, to DeepMind labs, to Slides and Sheets, Google has quietly been changing the rules, and they've been pushing the boundaries. And now with Gemini, they may have actually created the first AI interface for our daily lives. So as always, I will put the links to the sources and tools mentioned today in the show notes at Hanson Education Services under the AI for Everyone podcast page. And I look forward to talking with you more about Google. It's a very powerful program, and we'll see where they go. Thanks for spending time with me today on AI for Everyone. I hope this episode gave you something useful to think about or something new to try. If you enjoyed it and have not done so already, please subscribe to the podcast so you'll never miss an episode. You're also invited to join the Hanson Education Services newsletter, where I share bonus tools, practical teaching ideas, real AI world examples, and curated updates to help you stay ahead in a world shaped by AI. To learn more or connect with me directly, visit hansoneducationservices.com. That's where you'll find all the podcast links, resources, citations, and more ways to grow your AI confidence. And keep an eye out for any upcoming workshops where we start to talk about meeting with the large groups to improve our skills. Thanks again for joining us. And remember, the most important 21st century skill is to always keep learning how to learn. See you next time.